I was going to be a setup man for Dave Barry. Anyway, Diane went over a bit of my bio. I had a lot of fun at the Walt Disney Company. It is an amazing organization. I did not leave because I wanted to, frankly. I left because I had an incredible opportunity to go lead great organizations like Diane's. 25 years in the company. I entered to start and was the original founders of a company called Disney Cruise Line. Anybody sail on Disney Cruise Line? Great. Oh, a lot of hands. Fantastic. Thank you. Well, I guess thank you to them now. I don't need to thank you anymore. And it was a great experience. But actually, early days for me, we're working on a cruise ship. Believe it or not, I was a cruise director. Okay. So this is me early days in my career.
Love boat.
And the Love Boat, exactly right. No, funny story, funny you should say that. Actually, Art Rodney, who was the president of Disney Cruise Line when we started it, he ran Princess Cruises when he and a guy named Aaron Spelling went together to start the show called The Love Boat. He was in fact the father of cruising and ushered in modern day cruising. Anyway, I had a great time in the cruise industry for many, many years. But then I was asked by Art Rodney to join as one of the original 18 founders of Disney Cruise Line. What I thought a lot about when I came to the Walt Disney Company was, why is it so different at Disney? Like, what is it about Disney that makes Disney Disney? Like, what is it? Like, how does it work? And I think you'll get a drift as I go through the presentation today, and it's all about what they call cast members, creating world-class, what they call guest experiences or customer experiences. So hence why I'm here today. It does actually fit into Diane's theory and program about what we're going to talk about today. So before I do that, though, let me back up a little bit and talk momentarily about Colibri. As Diane said, we are actually a roll-up. We have 26 businesses in the group. We actually work in 6 industries. So real estate is one industry that we work in. We also work in mortgage, healthcare, teacher education, financial services, etc. And we do the same thing. We help people achieve more and thrive in their careers. So when you think about purpose, and I'm going to talk later about what I call purpose versus task. When you think about purpose, like why do you wake up in the morning and why do you do what you do? You have to actually have a purpose, because if we all woke up and did our tasks every day, I don't think any of us would do it, right? We'd be like, ugh, gross, I gotta show 30 houses and do 50 emails, yeah, right? But if you think about the purpose and what we're doing, you're actually changing people's lives. So am I in my role here. So let me show you a quick video our marketing folks put together that talks a little bit about Colibri. Roll the video. Whole world of customer experience. The conference board does something called the C-Suite Challenge. And what they do is they go out and talk to the folks in the C-Suite organizations around the world every year. Some of you may actually subscribe to conference board. And a couple years ago, this was the lead headline. And take a look at this. Diane just actually called this out. But customers will increasingly place a higher value on the experience of using a product than the product itself. I think we all need to think about this one long and hard. So it may not actually be about the transaction you're having, but it's more about what I call the interaction you're having with your buyers or sellers. How do you think about migrating your business from transactional to interactional? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. A couple other stats that are interesting. This is from Bain. They did a customer experience-led piece of research. And when you go talk to leaders, so take the word CEO out and maybe put you into this sentence, 80% of CEOs believe that their company provides superior customer service. Then you go ask their customers how they did, and look at the gap. Think about this when we all go out and buy stuff today. We probably go buy from companies where they think they're crushing it, and customer experience, we're like, it's terrible, right? How many people have called their cable company lately? Right? Miserable. I hate to say how many people have flown lately too, right? This summer is a disaster, right? But if you go talk to a CEO of a cable company, they go, yeah, we're really good. Look at our NPS score. Look how great we're doing. They're not, right? So the reality is that we are not crushing it. We, collectively, we're not crushing it in this space of customer experience. So what do you do about it? How do you go think about that? Here's another super interesting one for you. This is this notion that customer experience is now even more powerful, and it goes to the actual work that the conference board talks about. So if you rewind the clock about 10 years ago, brands were crazy important. How many of you got into this industry and said, oh my gosh, I have to go work for that real estate brand, that brokered brand. Oh, I have to be there. Oh my gosh, if I'm not, I'm nobody. And I hate to say it now, but if you ask anybody who they work for, does anyone really care? Maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much. Because there's been this crazy crossover about 5 years ago when the relationship took over from the actual brand itself. Think about that one. Think how powerful that is. By the way, that is a big challenge for a lot of companies today. And they're fighting this one big time, right? When they think about the value of their organization, they used to tread on the fact that they had this killer brand, and everyone just shows up because I love the brand. And now it has to be about those relationships that you build over time. Hopefully you're taking notes here and going away and thinking about some of these things, because they are, in fact, I think, the future of where your world is going. So at Disney, we talked a lot about how do you architect your experience, and Disney is world-class at architecting an experience. And my question to you is your experience by design or by default? Does the experience that you provide for your customers just happen, or do you actually think about architecting it? Do you really focus energy and effort around a whole bunch of important pieces that we talk a lot about at Disney? And here are the 4 main ones that I would ask you to go think about. People. We're going to talk more about people in a moment, because that's the biggest driver, and by the way, the biggest circle here. Your processes, the way you actually get work done, and not transact, but what? Interact with your customers. Place, and place is actually setting. Okay? That's where you're transacting business. That can either be online or offline. But is it important to think about place when I'm going to meet a potential buyer? Of course it is. Do they have ample, I can go through the list right now. Do they have ample parking? Is it not a Burger King, but a Panera? You start to think about how you architect the experience from a place perspective that you may not have thought about in the past. And then ultimately, it's about the product. But what did we just say about product? That probably becomes more of a rounding error. I know it sounds crazy in your world, but the actual it is probably less important than it used to be. So it's people, it's you, it's your associates, the people you work with, it's the way you go to market, the processes, your place, could be your office, could be how you're on the road, etc., how you show up, what car you drive, how you dress, etc., etc. And then the actual product itself. So I'm going to link these two in a moment, but this is an interesting piece of work that was done by Harvard years ago. It was in Harvard Business School. And it talked about the service profit chain. And basically the article called out this notion that, look, to create a world-class experience, you need to do these things in this order. And if you read across the top on the bars, it's your people first. Wait, I thought customers were first. Nope. We're going to talk about that in a moment, about Disney. Your people are first, then your customer, because guess what? If you get your people side right, you're going to take care of your customers. I see a lot of nods going on here, which is fantastic. You probably already know this, but this is the time when you now need to go back to the gym and double down on this stuff. Right? And then, by the way, if you get your people right, They're going to take care of your customers, and then what's going to happen? There's going to be this output, this cool output over here, which is, as Amy says, make money, take it to the bank of the heart. What she's saying, like, take money to the bank, right? That's the output. What I've seen in real estate is there are so many people that enter this market because they're focused on the output. Watch this. I'm going to go out and crush it. I can't wait to buy my new Porsche, right? They're only thinking about the output. Okay? When I was at Disney, I would run around the world all the time. I was on a plane all the time at Disney Institute the last several years, going out and talking about customer experience. And I was meeting with CEOs around the world. And inevitably, we would get into the meeting, and as we started our work, the first question I would always ask is, okay, at your senior level most meeting, when you sit down with your top lieutenants, what's first on the agenda? And what was their answer? The output. Beams in the auto industry, moving metal, selling units, right? How do we do the output? And I say, stop that right now. You look at me, right? I did it with a big box sports retailer years ago, and he was mad at me. He was like, well, of course we look at all the numbers, right? We live by the numbers. I said, that's fine. You have to talk about your inputs before you talk about your outputs. Okay? Great story with Mary Barra. Mary Barra is the CEO of General Motors. We did a ton of work with General Motors. If you hear Mary Barra speak now, she used to, rewind the clock 5 years ago, all she talked about units, moving metal. Let's go move some metal. Guess what she talks about now? For people and safety. We take a bit of credit there for that one, right? For people and safety. Love those messages. So how do you think about architecting your world so that you talk about your people first, your customers second? How do we do all sorts of cool measures there, NPS, any KPI you want. Then, oh, by the way, what did it equal? You still have to talk about what it equals, right? That's great. But you've got to talk about your inputs first. So I would challenge everybody here when you go back to your office on Monday morning, or whenever you go back, say, hey, let's talk about our people first. Are we hiring the right people? Are we bringing the right people in? Am I associating with the right people? Are we winning? Do we have the right processes in place to take care of our customers the way we need to take care of our customers? The rest will come, right? All of you in this room, obviously, are here for a reason, because you play in the space very effectively. But you think about this is the way that you actually are going to get there long term. So Disney converts it into Disney speak. And if you've ever read any books about Disney, it's called Past, Guest, Financial. So Disney breaks it down into the most simple 3 sectors to create world-class experiences. Cast, Guest, Financial. First off, the words, why cast? Because you're part of a bigger show. You're not an employee. What feels better, a cast member or an employee? Cast member, right? I'm part of the show. Right? And if you're a cast member, by the way, on the first day you join Disney, you go to something called Traditions. And it's a combination and mix of executives on down to dishwashers. And you're all put into the same room, very similar size to this. And there's an entire day where you're talked to about the company and the traditions and this model before you ever start to think about on-the-job training. Right? Because you're a cast member and you're all in it together. And if you create processes and have people that are focused on actually the next topic, which is purpose, you create world-class experiences for your guests. And oh, by the way, you make more money and the stock goes up. Anybody own Disney stock, by the way? Sorry about that right now. Well, I don't work there anymore. What do I care? I do too. Anyway, I love our friend Richard Branson. He talks a lot about this as well, and hence why the brand of Virgin has been pretty successful with this. Just take care of your people and they'll take care of your customers. Sounds so simple. Are you really doing it every day? Are you doing it every day? All right, let's go on to this fun topic I call purpose versus task. And this is this question around, what do you do every day? Do you do a bunch of tasks? Or are you focused on your broader purpose? how do you get people aligned around a common purpose? Not easy, right? Or maybe it is easy. This is actually a super smart group. Do me a favor, stand up. Stand up, everybody. All right. Do me a favor, raise your hand in here. One, either one, I don't care, left or right. Take the other one, put it over your eyes. And now on the count of 3, I want you to point north. 1, 2, 3. Keep your eyes closed. Eyes closed. Point north. Point north. It's not up in the sky, folks. Point north. Point north. All right, open your eyes. Look around. Leave your hand there. What is going on? All right, now see. Wait a second. I said north. I don't actually know which way north is. Somebody's going to pull out their phone now and get it out. You can stand up and tell me what it is. There you go. What was it? Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. Yay! All right. But that simple exercise, actually take that one back to your office, because how do you ensure that you're all headed in the same direction? That shouldn't have been too hard. You have 4 choices there. Everyone knows where north is. Why was that so hard? That should not have been hard. What was that? Yeah. Right? So how do you get everybody aligned around a common purpose? At Disney's, their common purpose is super simple. We create happiness by providing the finest entertainment for people of all ages, everywhere. And what each cast member was asked to remember was the first 3 words. We create happiness. And that was their purpose. Now, did they have a whole bunch of tasks to do? Of course they did. But how do you align around one purpose? And in your world, I would suggest that it's around this experience component that we're talking about this morning. It really is the why. So, at Disney, there are something called custodial hosts. Anybody know what those are? Yeah, that's right. Fancy word for janitors. Great, good job, Disney, right? Much rather go and be a custodial host than a janitor, right? So what's their task? What does a custodial host have to do? What's their task? Shout it out.
Keep things clean.
Clean the park, right? Clean the park. What's their purpose?
Make people happy.
What?
Make people happy.
Create happiness. Wait, but they're just janitors. No, they're not. A, they're cast members. They're part of the show. Think about this right now as it works in your office. Like, who cleans your office? Are they part of your show? Are they not? You ever talk to them? Are they connected? Right? Okay? They're part of your show. And here's the secret to Disney. I will tell you the secret. The secret for creating world-class experiences is purpose trumps task. Whoa. That's heavy. Purpose trumps task. Jeff, what do you mean by that? I don't understand. What I mean by that is that custodial hosts are asked to go out and work in the park and do their tasks. And they have to do their tasks. But when push comes to shove, they are taught from their leadership that purpose is more important and overrides task. So if a 3-year-old girl is walking down Main Street and she has an ice cream cone and she spills it, and the custodial host sees it and walks over, what are they thinking about?
Give them another ice cream cone.
Correct. Let me go get him another ice cream cone, not my task of cleaning up the mess. Ladies and gentlemen, this one you have to digest over time. I'm telling you, it's not easy. Sounds simple, it's not easy. How do you stay on purpose? And if push comes to shove, purpose trumps task. They know through research that each custodial host has 66, typical Disney, right? Tons of research, 66 opportunities to have either, remember the word we just talked about, a transaction or an interaction with a guest on each of their 8-hour shifts. 66! That's a lot of people walking through the Magic Kingdom buying frozen bananas and turkey legs, right? It's a lot. 66 opportunities. So those are those moments of truth when you have to be on purpose versus task. Now, I would tell you, because some people call me out on this one, that's not true, you can't be on purpose all day. Of course not. You have to have a balanced scorecard. You have to do your tasks, but what you have to remember is purpose trumps task. The other key component to this structure, leaders have to recognize and reward that behavior. Because if they don't, what happens? How come you didn't clean up the ice cream mess? What happened? Leaders must recognize and reward this behavior. That's hard. Wait a second, were they on purpose versus task? Oh, I get it. That's right. They were on purpose. Make sense? All right, cool. Let's move on to building trust. So this is the fun one, and look, at Colibri we talk a lot about building trust, and the stats here are just, I think, super interesting. Our friend Mr. Cotton said, look, earn trust, earn trust, earn trust, then you can worry about the rest. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you this. This one's simple for you, right? Earn trust. When people join Colibri, I say, what are you going to do? Tell me about your role. And they tell me, and I say, well, okay, great. You got one thing to do. It's 2 words. Earn trust. Just earn trust. That's all you get to do. Earn trust. And once you earn trust, everything else falls into place. Check this out. How does trust impact business? These stats blow me away. 87%, again, here we go back to the executives, think customers highly trust their companies, but only 30% do. That's congruent with the board you saw earlier, right? That was 80% versus 3% or 8%, right? But look, that's a scary gap there. That is a scary gap. Here we go now. So this is actually executives. Now go to employees. 71% of employees say they're likely to leave if you lose their trust. Great resignation, we know this is happening, right? Like, if you lose my trust, and that would be for me, I'm 100% there. If you lose my trust, I'm out. Like, I'm gone, right? And then on the customer side, 71% as well. 71% of customers say they're unlikely to buy if a company loses their trust. Whoa, that's scary. All right, so to build trust with customers, you got to focus on affordability. What? How did employee treatment get in there? And then variety. Wait, I'm lost. This is for customers buying from a company. The number 2 thing that they're concerned about, you get where my story's going, back to the top of the conversation. They're worried about the fact that you're treating your people well or not. What? That had nothing to do with buying a product. Yes, it does. That's the number 2 thing in this survey that came out. Trust employees well. All right, then these boards are fun. This is the benefits of gaining trust. So you buy from the company. If you've got trust, look at that, likely 91%. I trust them, I love them, right? Somebody shout out a company that they love, that they trust to the nth degree. Consumer product brand, huh?
No, we can.
Right. You know them off the top of your head, right? So if those companies actually produce an electric bike, would you buy it from them? Probably. What? They know nothing about electric bikes. I don't care. I trust them. All right? Recommend the company to others. Intent to recommend, huge. And then so on and so forth down the line. You can see how trust plays a big part. You know where I'm going, right? Next board. Flip it around. Oh my goodness. What happens if you lose trust? How many people have been in a situation with a buyer or seller where you've lost their trust for some reason or another? Yeah, people like, I'm not admitting that one. Yeah, there you go, Jim in the back. Like, I'm not admitting that one, right? And when you lose their trust, game over, right? Game over. Don't even try, right? Because this is something in everyone's mind that, like, once you gain trust, you're good to go. Once you lose trust, you're off the radar. You're out. All right? Look at the stats down there. You're going to buy from the company? Nope. Recommend the company to others? Nope. Think highly, have a positive perception? Nope. Defend the company? Absolutely not. share information, be loyal, of course not, and we're gonna leave? Yeah, I'm probably gonna leave. All right, so I know I've only got a half hour. They only give me a half hour. Is that terrible? I don't know how that happened. I know, only give me a half hour. Maybe next year I might get 45. I don't know if I'll be invited back. I don't think so. You never know. David Barry up next, that'll be better than I am. So the key takeaways, why experience matters. We talked about this notion of architecting the experience. How do you actually think about that? And it's not by default, but by design. Then this whole notion of purpose versus task. How do you think about staying on purpose? And by the way, purpose trumps task. And then the key driver, which is building trust. So I know that was around the horn super fast. I really am fired up to be here. I love this audience. It's super smart people, by the way. Well, mostly super smart people. Anyway, what's that? Yeah, go on. That's right, exactly right. So, thank you. I will end now, and I will take a few questions, and I'm going to let my colleagues come up here and join.
Right here, Jim. Right here. Jim's first.
Jeff, when you're talking about the purpose versus task, I'm sitting here listening to that particular segment, and the everyday stuff that we do seems to be 100% tasks. So I would love to get some more expansion on that as to how that can actually be applied to our real estate practices.
Yep. I think it's a great question. So as I said, you have to have a balanced scorecard. Nobody can get off the hook and just run around, like if somebody in the Magic Kingdom says, where's Tomorrowland? You can't just run around and do a parade over there all day and not sweep the streets when you're a custodian host. You gotta be a balanced scorecard. You have to do your tasks. It's the mentality of thinking about why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So I wake up every morning and I have tons of tasks. I gotta sit in calls and meetings like we all do, right? But if I can keep in mind that I'm helping people achieve more and thrive in their careers, man, everything goes a lot simpler, right? And I'm just more anchored to the purpose of why I do what I do, and I'm not on the treadmill, right? I know you guys have been on an incredible treadmill the last several years, sold a few houses, my guess is just a few, right? So I think it's a mentality, and when there's this tiebreaker situation, you've got to go toward purpose versus task. And ironically enough, a lot of people don't. People will just hunker down and go do their tasks and not think about their purpose. So hopefully that answers it a little bit. You have a lot to do to process.